Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to this week's Fresh Thought Friday. I want to start this episode off with a clip from the late and great Stan Lee. He had this speech that he did about the Spider-Man superhero origin story. And I bring this up only because as I'm talking to more of my clients that are looking to figure out what's the right marketing strategy to help drive patients, in particular for the actual Pizza Wave, how do we go about doing this proper? And we've looked at a lot of different tactics from SEO, Google reviews, Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, you pretty much name it, content marketing, referrals. And I gotta say, strategic referral partners that was one we gotta press into later. But I want to talk about the importance of just understanding how to brand yourself and storytell around your business, because that's an element that I don't see happening a lot. And Stan Lee is the master of Okay, I'll let Stan Lee get into it, and then we'll talk about some practical strategies that you can take to separating yourself and setting your story on the proper course.
We had already done the Fantastic Four and I think maybe the X-Men, I can't remember the order, but my publisher came to me and he said, Stan, I want you to come up with another superhero. So I said, okay, I went home, and when my publisher said do something, I'd better do it because I wanted to keep my job. I thought, what can I come up with now? And the most important thing in a superhero at first is the superpower. Once you get that, everything else comes along. So I thought, what power will I give a new guy? And I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, hey, if I could get a superhero that could stick to walls and crawl on them, man, that would be cool. So I thought that was good. Now I needed a name. So I said, well, let's see, Fly Man, Mosquito Man. I got down to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic. So, okay, I had my hero. I had his power, his name, and then I figured just for fun, I'm going to give him personal problems, because except for you people who are that your lives are perfect, but most other people have personal problems. And then I thought I'd make him a teenager, because there were no teenage superheroes that I knew of at the time. So armed with all that wonderful material, those great ideas, I ran into my publisher's office and I told him, this was my reaction, the reaction he gave me. Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. First of all, and he started to give me because he's a very logical man, very intellectual. First of all, people hate spiders, so you can't call a hero Spider-Man. You want him to be a teenager? Teenagers can only be sidekicks. And you want him to have personal problems? Stan, don't you know what a superhero is? They don't have personal problems. Well, I left the office disappointed, but obviously a much wiser man. And I couldn't get Spider-Man out of my system. So we were about to kill a magazine. I think it was called Amazing Fantasy. It wasn't selling well, and we were sending the last issue to press. When you do the last issue of a magazine, nobody cares what you put in it because the book is dying. Just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy, featured him on the cover, forgot about it. A month later, all the sales figures came in. My publisher came racing into my office. Stan, you remember that character we both loved so much, Spider-Man? He said, let's do him as a series. Now, why am I telling you this? Besides the fact that I have to kill a little time. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. That doesn't mean that every wild notion you come up with is going to be genius, but if there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it, because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done.
Stan Lee had it down. He's obviously the master of building up backstories. You got to start with your superpower. And it has to be something that is a skill. It's a God-given gift. It's something that just is in you that you're able to do that other people just don't. You got to have a name, and you got to make this thing personal. You have to have a problem, right? And this humanizes the brand. This is really crucial because a lot of people avoid this element, and I get why they avoid it, because who wants to put their personal, business online? I'm not into that either. But if it's relevant to the audience that you serve, it really brings you to life and helps you just separate yourself, because nobody's going to have the exact same story as you. That's one thing that technology can't do for us just yet, is actually share these backstories, connects us just as human on a one-to-one basis. And this is the element that I think a lot of people leave out. I see a lot of great about stories. We started this back in 2000 and it was a hope and a prayer. I see those and they look okay. But if you're not sharing this on a consistent basis, and we're going to talk about how to do this through podcasting and launch off that first episode series that I'm coming out with. But this is the first piece of it. You got to understand how to get this backstory going, and having those human elements are mandatory. That's what sent Spider-Man through the roof, and it's still the highest grossing superhero film of all time outside of the Avengers, right? Outside of the End Times and all the rest of those ones where it's like all the superheroes at once. So that's not fair. But if it's just going one-on-one, Spider-Man dominates the box office for that reason, I believe, too. But so I did some more homework on building up your proper brand, getting to storytelling that really is something that has these characteristics, right? It has 4 elements. And I found this Venn diagram that breaks down the different superheroes out there. And they say that Batman has the best backstory. That's debatable, but here's the four elements that you should always think about. What training do you have? What treasure do you have? Your trauma that you experienced, and technology that you possess that's unique. And so let's walk through a couple of these, because all the superheroes don't have all these elements. With that, you don't have to have all 4 of these, but really thinking about how you can incorporate these things into the stories that you tell. And as you build up content and you're getting in front of more people and you're figuring out how to separate your brand versus others, these elements are vital. So your training, obviously, people that are in my space in this physical medicine world, people get certifications, they get educated how to get better outcomes, and that's their training. That's a part of their element that makes them unique. Batman and Black Panther obviously had combat training, hand-to-hand training, the skill of choice to really develop, and that's an element. But whatever type of treasures you could bring into it, you have outside funding, or is there other resources that are things that you're doing that might be different? Are you connected to the actual business community in a way that others aren't? But adding in those layers are good pieces that we can all just take away. And the actual the trauma piece, I wanted to just harp on for 2 seconds, because most of my clients get into this physical medicine world because they were injured at some point. I know that's how I found my way into the space. I wasn't even thinking about becoming a physical therapist, but when I injured myself working out over at University of Pittsburgh, I remember going to the physical therapy office, and they're educating me about what exercises I need to do to go about rehabbing my sprained AC joint at the time. And I loved it. I was like, oh, you guys did you get paid well to work inside of a gym? Yeah, I like that a lot. I had a lot more to learn about business at the time, but still, as a bright-eyed sophomore in college, that was interesting to me. And I think that this is something that leveraging whatever brought you to this space makes sense. Not leveraging whatever family drama is going on in your world. I don't think that's smart. That's going to make you look bad. But getting into like, hey, I got injured doing this, and this is what got me going, and get good at telling those stories. For instance, you can even go to Chat GPT, and like literally just ask them to share the same framework that they have with Marvel. And there's key elements that they bring up, like what is the moment in time that got you on this path that you're in? What trauma did you experience? Like there were some great questions I got from leveraging AI. And on a side note, if you're not leveraging AI for any of your content production, you're really missing the boat. You're still spending way too much time doing it. Leveraging AI all throughout this podcast. Like I got Descript so I can help me just transcribe everything. I use Podcast Squeeze so we can just go ahead and get everything timestamped and come out with the actual titles that might be more engaging. Leverage AI. They're coming out probably with 100 plus tools a day. The majority of them are either minimal cost or free. So it makes no sense not to leverage these when we're putting out content and figure out how it's going to best work out for you. Long story short, the trauma element is what I want to hang on to, and technology is the last piece of the puzzle here. And technology is also important because people that are buying the actual PosWave, any other type of devices that are going to help people get further in their actual rehab process, highlight that and let people know that you're expert at it. Become known for having this device that you know better than any other type of practitioner in your market. This is the element of what I want to press into about the different marketing strategies, because a lot of what I saw was that people were doing a lot of ad spend dollars, which is nothing against ad. I'm running ads later on today. They're doing SEO. SEO works. It's something that's been around. Search engine optimization. It's been around for a long time and helps people get ranked high on Google. Reviews. People love to hear other people's insight before they come into your business, right? Like, so a lot of people read reviews before they go spend money. I think that's smart as well. The things about these tactics is that they've been around now for almost 20 years. Right. And so what happens as we get more technology, we all start doing them. And when we all do them, we get commoditized in the process. And so Google reviews, everybody, you start seeing people that have like 100 plus reviews, 200 reviews. Yes, we know that there probably is some automation that's happening in there, which is good. That's not a bad thing. So with that, when you start seeing 3 and 4 different businesses that look like you, all with high Google reviews, you start looking the same, right? So obviously I recommend doing it, but just be mindful of the strategy that you choose to go with. Is it being deployed across the board? Facebook ads, we know the glory days for Facebook ads was about 7, 8 years ago. And in the past 3 years or so, it's been super tough. You're spending more. They still work. Absolutely. You can run Facebook ads and you should run Facebook ads. I just want to see people do it when they have content already on their profile. Because the biggest thing I hate to see, I'm guilty of doing it too with the brands that I've been managing, literally like when you run ads and people go click into your profile and your stuff that you're talking about in your ads, the offer doesn't line up, or there's no additional supporting educational content, or there's nothing else for them to reference that makes sense to really drag them into this place. Like, hey, before I go click buy, or before I go look at moving forward with the ad or booking a time to go for us to meet up, let me follow them and see if I like what I'm hearing first. Because educated buyers want to take the time and they want to know that, like, hey, before I spend some money, let me go do some more homework, right? And that's who you want coming through your door. You want the person that is more knowledgeable. I mean, and if you can help educate them in that process, when the time is right, they're going to come to you. And so this is why the content piece is so important into most things that we do. Yes, these different strategies work. And the one I love the most, and this is what I'm going to press into, and I want to leave you guys with this checklist to really go run and really work on your own, is that I've put together a checklist on how you can go about building proper referral partners, because that to me was the strongest lead source. And when I look at what strategies work best, I'm not only concerned about which one drives the most clicks and the most leads, because as a salesperson at heart, giving me a whole bunch of leads is not interesting, but giving me people that are excited, the timing's right, they're ready to move forward, and they have social proof already behind them. That's high quality. That's high quality lead. That's what I'm looking for. And that's why I need more of that in my life. And the referral partners, and if you can build those up proper, that to me is the ultimate win. And so over the next couple episodes, I'm going to lay out the strategy to go about building up referral partners by doing a short podcast mini series. You can do this for free. You can host your own. We have a program that we're rolling out through the Recovery Lab show that you can take part in. But I'm going to give you all the steps to do it yourself, because whether you want to do it with us or you need help and support or not, you can go about doing this. I've done podcasting for over 5 years and I didn't have anybody to come help me out for years. So literally just having those partners come onto your show and you guys share your stories together, I think is the best way to actually drive up your own brand and build up a name that people know how to go about sharing, like with the community, that this person is great for this. And it's even better when they have said, I did a podcast with this guy down the street and man, I go to him. He's great. If you need some help with XYZ, fill in the blank, there you go. Podcasting with referral partners and doing interview-based shows around that, to me, is phenomenal. If you want to roll it out to do something bigger and grander, great. You can do that if you want, but it's not necessary for you to have great traction through that process. If you go to the link below, you can see the actual check sheet, but I'll break this down in future episodes to come. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation around really tapping into your origin story. And this is how podcasts really start. They start with that first episode of you just sharing how you got into doing what you're currently doing and why you're passionate about it. And normally you got to share a little bit of trauma along the way. All right. If you guys like this episode, please, man, go tell a friend about it so they can tell a friend about it. Because again, you guys are my audio partners in this process. If you found any value, and leave a 5-star rating or drop a 1-star, who cares? Just let me know how you felt about the content. All right, until next time, I'll see you guys on next week's Fresh Start Friday.